In this video, we will edit a basic shape within Indesign CS6 by changing the corner options and shear settings. The first thing I will demonstrate is how to change the corner options of a shape. You can use the corner options command to quickly apply corner effects to any path. Available corner effects range from simple, rounded corners to more complex and fancy-looking corners. First, I will draw a rectangle on page 3 of my document. The first way that we can quickly change the corner options of this rectangle is to select the rectangle and then left-click on the small yellow box on the border of the shape. First, I must activate the selection tool by pressing V on my keyboard and then clicking on the yellow box. When you do this, notice that each corner of the shape now has turned to small yellow boxes. This indicates that we can now change the corners using the Live Corners feature. I'm going to click and hold my left mouse button on one of the yellow corners and drag my mouse inward. When I do so, notice that the corners of my rectangle are now rounded. The further I move my mouse in that direction, the more rounded my corners become. Notice if I move too far, my rectangle now looks more like a circle. Using this feature can add interest to your document, as sometimes creating shapes with the same old 90-degree angled corners can get a bit monotonous. You can also change the corner options by using the control panel as well. Select the rectangle and then move to the control panel where the corner options are displayed. Notice that I can select a different corner option to apply to the shape rather than just the simple rounded corner effect. I'm going to select the Inset option from the drop-down menu and notice that the corners of my rectangle have changed. If I don't like the size of the corner option, I could either change it within the control panel just above the drop-down menu, or I could again use the Live Corner option on the shape. You may be asking yourself, this is a great feature, but what if I don't want to change all 4 of my corner options? How can I do that? Well, the good news is that this is an option. To access these options, hold the Alt button on your PC keyboard or Opt on a Mac and left-click the corner options icon. Notice that this dialog box provides you with additional options for changing the corners of your shape. You can now select the size and shape of each individual corner of your shape so that all of your corners do not have to look the same. If you'd like to apply different shapes to each corner, left-click the link icon between all corner options to break the link between the 4 corners. When finished, click the OK button. Shearing an object slants or skews it along its horizontal or vertical axis, and can also rotate both of the object's axes. Shearing is useful for simulating some types of perspective, such as isometric projection, as well as creating cast shadows. To demonstrate, I'm going to select the rectangle on page 3, and I'm going to change the shear angle in the control panel to 50 degrees. Notice that the shear angle slants the shape. If you watched the earlier tutorial about character formatting for text frames, the concept of shearing may be familiar to you. However, when shearing a shape, we can change the reference point by activating the shearing tool by selecting from the tool panel or selecting O on the keyboard and then left-clicking where I'd like to place the reference point. Now when we change the shearing angle, it occurs around the new reference point. This concludes our tutorial on editing a shape. Hopefully this video has provided you with ideas on how to change up your basic shapes in the future.